Hello Year 6 and welcome to your maths lesson for this week. A big well done to our TT Rockstars champion this week. You can find yourself on our Year 6 newsletter. So this week we're taking a little bit of a step back. We're going to rewind and recap some of the work that we did in Year 6 throughout the course of the year. And it's something we would do every lesson. So you might remember that at the start of every lesson we would do an arithmetic starter. So we'd spend 4 minutes answering 4 questions. Now, a lot of you perhaps haven't done much arithmetic over the past few weeks. So I'm using this as an opportunity to recap the 4 operations. So that is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So we're going to have a little bit of a recap of those today. Now, arithmetic is really important because it forms the basis of everything that we do in maths. So if you have a trickier word problem or a reasoning problem, then if your arithmetic is really strong, then that will support you when you're answering those trickier questions, okay? It's really important to have that speedy fluency when you're calculating in maths. So this is all good practice for that. Okay, so enough of me talking. We're going to start with your arithmetic starter. Now you're going to need something to write with and something to write on. If you've got a timer, that would be helpful as well. I've got one on my Fitbit. I don't know if you've got something similar at home, or maybe I can see in my kitchen here if I've got a timer on my microwave or on the oven, or you can just take as long as you want to do it. I know we all might be a little bit rusty after not doing them in school for so long. So usually we have 4 minutes to answer 4 questions. Have a little go. Okay, so I'm going to go through the answers with you now, as we usually would in class. So the first question, 3,300 divided by 30. Now I can spot a number fact that I know here. I can see 33 and I can see 3 as well. And I know that 33 divided by 3 gives me 11. Okay, so my 11 times table. Now, before I get to my answer, I can use that number fact to help me. So what I can do with this sort of question is to simplify both numbers to make it easier for me to work out the answer. So what I can do with this first one is 3,300, if I divide by 10, and I can divide this number by 10 as well, that's going to give me 330 divided by 3, which makes the calculation a little bit easier for me. So I know that 33 divided by 3 is 11. However, I'm not dividing 33 by 3, I'm dividing 330 by 3. So I need to multiply my answer by 10, which gives me 110. Sorry, I'm left-handed, so my hand's always going to be in the way when I'm writing. Okay, question 2, 6.3 divided by 100. So when I am dividing a number by 100, I know that the digits need to move 2 places to the right because the number is getting smaller. And what I like to do is use the number of zeros to help remind me, just as a little bit of a prompt, how many places the digits need to move. So what I'm going to do is to write my number out here, 6.3, and write the decimal point underneath, and then I can move my digits then 2 places to the right. So the 6 goes 1, 2, and the 3 goes 1, 2 places to the right as well. So my answer should be 0.063. Okay, so now here's our favourite question. We all remember BIDMAS or BODMAS. We looked at that in our parent workshop as well, didn't we? So when you have a calculation in which there is more than one operation, we use BIDMAS or BODMAS to help us decide on the order of operations. So BIDMAS or BODMAS stands for brackets, indices or order, so thinking about those square or cube numbers, division, multiplication, addition and subtraction. If a division and a multiplication or an addition and a subtraction happen in the same calculation, then you just carry them out in the order that they come in the calculation. But we don't have that problem with this one because we've got multiplication and subtraction. So following BIDMAS, we're going to do the multiplication first because the M comes before the S. So we can use our times tables, our number facts to help us with this first one. So 5 times 8 we know is 40. However, because we're multiplying 50 by 80, we then need to multiply our answer by 100. So that gives us 4,000. Let's just write that down. Okay, and then we want to subtract 40. So 4,000 subtract 40 is 3,960. And finally, our long multiplication question. So I'm going to start by multiplying my ones. So 6 multiplied by 3 gives me 18. So I'm going to put the 1 for my tens in my tens column and the 8 here. 7 times 3 is 21. I also need to add this 1 from the tens column under there, so that gives me 22. 4 times 3 is 12. 13, 14. Don't forget to add the numbers that you've carried at the bottom. So then, when I go to multiply my tens, I need to remember to add my placeholder. 6 times 8 is 48. Ooh. What was I? 7 times 8 is 56. Add the 4 is 60. And then 4 times 8 is 32. Add the 6. It gives us 38. Now I need to add these amounts together to give me my answer. So 8 plus 0 is 8. 2 add 8 is 10. 4 add 0 is 4, but we need to remember to add that 1 underneath, so that gives us 5. 1 add 8 is 9. 3 add 0 is 3. This paper needs to stay still. Okay, so my answer should be 39,508. So we're going to do a bit of my turn now. So I'm going to show you the methods that we use for addition and subtraction using the column method. Okay, after that we're going to do a bit of long multiplication and long division. Okay, but don't panic. Okay, so now it's my turn, and first of all I'm going to show you how to do addition with the column method. You might notice I've come up with a genius idea of sellotaping my piece of paper to the table, so hopefully it won't move anymore. Right, so I'm going to start off by writing my first number, which is 328,088 at the top. So 3. Now at this point I need to pay really close attention because here I have a 6-digit number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But my second number, 75,253, is a 5-digit number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's important that I bear this in mind when I'm lining up my digits, so my digits are all in the correct columns. So because I haven't got any 100,000s here, I need to put my 7 in the 10,000s column, okay? And my 5, 2, 5, 3. Okay, and because I haven't got a ruler to hand, I'm just going to very carefully draw my lines in. Okay, and then I start with the ones. So 8 add 3 is 11. Okay, I've put my 1 down there. I'm sure we all know this, but we've just carried it over to the tens column. 8 add 5 is 13, and you want to add this one underneath as well, which gives us 14. 0 plus 2 is 2, add the 1, 3. Oh, 8 add 5 again, 13. 2 add 7 is 9, add this one underneath, which gives us 10. And 3 add 1 is 4. So that gives us the answer of 403,341. Okay, so now I'm just going to remind you how to do our column subtraction. So I've got 93,185, subtract 13,986. Now I can see here already I've got the same number of digits this time in both numbers, so it's a bit easier for me to set out. So 93,185, subtract . Okay, so I've lined up my digits, drawing my lines in neatly. Okay, so then I start with the ones column again. 5 subtract 6. Well, this is a little tricky, isn't it? Because I need to go over to my tens column and exchange one of my tens for 10 ones, so that then I can carry out this section. So 15 subtract 6 gives me 9. 7 tens subtract 8 tens. Well, again, I'm going to have to go over to the hundreds column and exchange again. So now I won't have any hundreds, but I've got 17 tens. So 17 subtract 8, again, gives me 9. If I'm looking at the hundreds column now, I've got 0 subtract 9. I'm going to have to exchange again. So this time I'm going to my thousands column and crossing it out. So now I only have 2 thousands, but I'm exchanging over into the hundreds column. 10 subtract 9 is 1. So again, I've got 2 subtract 3, 8. And then that gives us 12 here. So 12 subtract 3 gives us 9 again. And then 8 subtract 1 gives us 7. Okay, so our answer is 79,199. Now it's my turn to show you how to do long multiplication. So I'm going to start by multiplying my ones. So 7 times 6 is 42. 4 times 6 is 24. Add this 4 under here. This gives me 28. 2 times 6 is 12. 13, 14. And 1 times 6 is 6. And add that 1, 7. Now, when I need to multiply the tens, I need to make sure that I put my placeholder in. Because we're not multiplying by 2, we're actually multiplying by 20 in this part here, aren't we? So 7 times 2 is 14. 4 times 2 is 8. Add this 1, 9. 2 times 2 is 4. And 1 times 2 is 2. And the final step is to add these amounts together. So 2 add 0 is 2, 8 add 4 is 12, 4 add 9 is 13, add the 1, 14, 7 add 4 is 11, add this one 12, and 2 add 1 is 3. So our answer is 32,422. Okay, so pause the video now and have a go at question 2. So now we're going to have a go at some long division. So 1,997 divided by 13. Now with long division, we tell you to use this acronym to help you remember what we need to do. So it's DMSB. Okay, so mnemonic, we use does McDonald's sell burgers to help us remember it. But what it really stands for is divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. So I'm going to set out my calculation using the division bar. So I'm going to put my divisor, the number I'm dividing by, on the outside of the division bar. And then the number that I am dividing on the inside. So 1,997. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is to write my jottings for the 13 times table to help me along the side here. So I'm going to write, have I got enough room there? Yeah, I'll do it here. So 13, 26. So I'm going to start by dividing. So how many times does 13 go into 1? 0. So then I need to look and say, right, how many times does 13 go into 19? I can use my jottings to help me, and I can see, oh, 26, that's too many, isn't it? So it goes into 19 once. Then I need to multiply. That's my next step. So 13 multiplied by 1 is 13. Use your jottings to help you. I can take that off. Now I need to subtract. So 19 subtract 13. So 9 take away 3 is 6. 1 subtract 1 is 0. And then I need to bring down the next digit. So that 9, oh, I should have drawn a bigger arrow there. That 9 goes all the way down here. Okay, and then what we do is repeat until we don't have any numbers left to bring down, and I'll show you what we do then. So we need to divide again. So 69 divided by 13. Use your jottings to help. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because 78 is too many. Okay, so 5. Then we need to multiply. So 13 times 5 is 65. We write that under there, ready to do the next step, which is subtract. So 69 take away 65, 9 take away 5 is 4, 6 subtract 6 is 0, and then we bring down. So we've got 47, and then we repeat the process again. So 47 divided by 13, 1, 2, 3 times, so I write the 3 there. 13 multiplied by 3 is 39, so I write that in there. My next step is to subtract, so 47 subtract 39. You can use your column subtraction to help you with this. Okay, and then we have 8 left over. Now we can't do the next step, can we? Because there is nothing left for us to bring down. So you've got 2 options here. Well, you've got 3 options actually. So the first one is to write your remainder as a whole number. So if I write the answer here, I could write 153 remainder 8. You could write the remainder as a fraction. So that would be 153. Now to write your remainder as a fraction, the remainder is the numerator. And then the divisor, the number that you are dividing by, becomes the denominator. Or you could express the remainder as a decimal. Now to do that, all you have to do is write in a decimal point after the ones in your division bar there, and you're going to write a 0 in your division bar here. Then your remainder is going to go in front of the 0, and then you just carry on from where you left off. So how many 13s go into 80? Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and this is where it's a little bit like our short division again, isn't it? Because you think, well, 6 lots of 13 go into 80, but I've got 2 remaining, haven't I? Because we've got 78 here. So if we did 80, subtract 78, that would leave us with 2 remaining again. So I write my 2 in there and a 0. So how many lots of 13 go into 20? Well, that's 1. I'm just going to stop there at 2 decimal places. Okay. And I suppose the way that you express the remainder, whether it's as a decimal, a whole number or a fraction, really depends on the question. So you need to make sure that you're reading the question carefully and just think, well, is the question asking me to divide money? In which case it would be most appropriate to express your remainder as a decimal. Or perhaps if you're talking about measures, so centimetres, metres, grams, kilometres, okay, it would probably be more appropriate to express your answer as a decimal. If you're talking about a number of people, well, you can't have a part or a fraction of a person, can you? So it might be then most appropriate to express your answer as a whole number. I'm going to show you your chili sheets now. I've got a chili 1, chili 2 and chili 3. My steps to success are to read the questions carefully. For those chili 2 and chili 3 questions, you are going to have to decide which operation to use, so it's a little bit more challenging. You're going to have to decide whether the question is asking you to multiply, divide, add or subtract. So read the questions carefully. In the previous example where we talked about different remainders you can use in long division, just have a little think, try and use a little bit of common sense to decide, well, how do I need to express my remainder? Or perhaps you might even need to round your answer up or round your answer down, depending on the context of the question. Okay, so just have a little bit of a think about that one. Chili 3s, if you want to answer chili 1 and chili 2 as well, for some extra practice, you can do that, but you don't have to. Okay, it's completely your choice.